What's up everybody, Adele here. Today's video is going to be looking at the Grok 4 model, the brand new model coming from XAI. We're going to put the model through its paces, compare it to different models today on the market, and test on a bunch of use cases related to math, reasoning, and coding. Now, if you want to learn more about AI and how other models are being put to use today, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel or check out our blog for more details. With that, happy learning.
Hello everyone and welcome to this session. My name is Josep Ferrer. I'm a data scientist and technical writer, and today I'm here to walk you through one of the biggest announcements of artificial intelligence of this year, and it is the launch of Grok 4. For those of you wondering what's Grok, basically it is the large language model family of XAI, the artificial intelligence company of Elon Musk. So Grok 4 is its latest model, and it was launched the last 9th July. It is quite crazy to think that Grok 3, the previous model, was just launched 3 months ago, and basically this indicates us how fast the artificial intelligence world is growing. However, today's landscape is still shaped by the giants of Google's Gemini's family, OpenAI's GPT's family, and Anthropic's Claude's family. But Elon Musk is quite obsessed to change this, and actually he's already stated that Grok 4 is the most smart large language model, and it has more knowledge than any PhD in any field. This is why today what I want to do with you is first have a good understanding of this model of Grok 4 and understand its main features. The second point would be perform some daily tasks in order to you to see that it is super easy to access it and actually that you can take advantage of it and you can incorporate it in your daily work. The third point would be compare it with other models, both its previous models like Grok 3 and its top competitors, and actually check a little bit the benchmarkings and see what's the position of Grok 4. Finally, I would like to discuss the future of the Grok family. So if you're interested in artificial intelligence, please stay with me. Let's go for it. Now, let's start with the basics. What exactly is Grok 4? As I said before, Grok 4 is XAI's latest multimodal large language model. The company claims it's the most intelligent model available today in the market, which in the end all companies do. However, in this case, the benchmark results do point in that direction, which is quite interesting. After having listened on the live stream, there's nothing particularly groundbreaking in terms of engineering, so the gains seem to come from a series of smaller tweaks and a significant increase in compute. For those of you wondering what does an increase of compute means, basically, it means that Grok 4 has been trained on 100 times more data than its predecessor, Grok 2, and it's powered by 10 more times reinforcement learning compute than any other model currently available in the market, including Grok 3, its direct predecessor. We will see more about the features later, but the most important highlights of the model are that right now it presents one of the biggest context window in the market with 256k tokens, which is twice bigger than Grok 3. It presents real-time data search, but actually this is not as impressive because most of the competitors already present it. It has been natively trained to use tools. Actually, this is quite impressive. We will see more about this later. It has advanced voice capabilities, but only for mobile phone apps, so we won't be able to use it today. And finally, it presents some agentic abilities. The first thing, of course, just going to a web browser, use whatever you want. And then I'm going to go to Google and just look for Grok. Here, I will go to the first option. And now I will see the landing cover of the XAI company and the Grok Interface, basically. Here, there are like 2 different triggers that can just pop up the Grok Interface. This box here that allows me to send a prompt directly to the model, or the button here of Try Grok. I'm gonna just use the button and I will see now the interface of Grok. As you can see, it is quite a minimalist interface. It's just the same as any other competitor, namely ChatGPT, Google Gemini, wherever. But the first thing to start using it, you can see that by default it comes Grok 3. And for Grok 4, I need to sign in or sign up if you don't have an account. And basically, we will see that we have a membership as well. And now we will have the whole interface. So as you can see here, we have the name, we have a box to send the prompts, we have a button to attach files. We have here to choose the model. We will see by default it will come Grok 3, but we will have Grok 4 here available to just choose it, and Grok 4 Heavy, we will see later what's the main difference. And then we have this sidebar here with different functionalities, and then my user settings here. You can see my little image down there. And then we will have the history. Right now, I don't have any history. I don't have any chats because I just deleted them for to this video. Then we have the project's functionality. For me, it is quite useful, but actually it is present in many of its competitors. Basically, I can just organize my chats and just put them within projects. So basically, I can have somewhere a structure when I just interact with these models, in this case with Grok. And then there's like the task functionality. I really like it. Basically, it allows the user to just ask for a specific task to the model and give it a frequency. So the model just does it every time that you just set this frequency. This means that, for instance, in my case, I generated the daily tech digest task. So basically, every day at 6 p.m., I want Grok to just have a daily tech digest. You can see here the prompt that I shared with the model. And here you can see one of the outputs that it gave me. All right, so and then there's like the files feature that here basically it stores all the files that I either share with the model or that the model outputs me. So we will see more about this later. But now let's start with the chat. Let's go to Grok 4 and let's ask it to reason why the temperature on Earth is rising. The first thing we can see is that the model tells us that it is thinking. I really like this feature, and actually it's something that has not been implemented in many of the models. ChatGPT, for instance, doesn't have it, and this recalls me of DeepSeek. So basically this allows us to see the reasoning, the process that the Grok 4 in this case is making in order to generate an output for our question. All right. So now we can see quite a formulated answer. Here in the beginning, we can see that the thought just lasted 26 seconds. This is a feature that I really liked as well. It lets us know basically how long does it take for the model to just generate a response for our prompt. And then you can see like a quite structured answer and with different sources and sites. So basically it is quite a nice output, but like it's in the end, it's just like a response of a model. But now, if we go to compare it, well, it's still finishing. So let's wait for a bit until it just finishes. And then what we will do is just go back to Grok 3 and see the difference between the output. Now it is done. So the thought just lasted 26 seconds and then the output just took a little bit longer. So now let's just copy the same prompt as before and use Grok 3 for it. So in this case, we see that first the output is right away. There's no thinking time. And there, Grok 3 doesn't show us the process or the reasoning behind the output that it's formulating, and we don't have any sources or any sites on the response. So basically, we can already see the big differences between Grok 4 and Grok 3 and the big upgrade that Grok 4 represents when compared to its prior model that was Grok 3. All right, so now that we have already interacted a little bit with the model, what we are going to do is just discuss a little bit the differences between Grok 4 and Grok 4 Heavy. So remember that if we go to select the model here, we will see two different options, Grok 4 and Grok 4 Heavy. And I'm pretty sure most of you are still wondering what's the difference between these two models. To make clear the difference between them, I'm going to use the pricing web. So you can see there's different pricings to access Grok 4 and to access Grok 4 Heavy, and one of them is clearly more expensive than the other. So the main difference between them is that Grok 4 is the normal model. It has all the upgrades, it has all the improvements, but it is a single agent model. This means that whenever we ask this model a task, only one AI agent will perform this task for us. On the other side, Grok 4 Heavy, it's a multi-agent model. This means that we have different AI agents working at the same time in the same task, and then they will share the results and find the optimal solution together. In order to understand this, let's make a simple analogy. Imagine you are the CEO of a big company and you have a complicated project to do. So what you can do is just take 4 different engineers and ask them to do the same project. The thing is, all of them will just work on the same project, but independently, okay, on their own. But in a couple of weeks, they will come back and they will share the results with the others. And what they will do is they will see which is the optimal solution, or collaboratively, they will improve the process that each of them did to find best solution, basically. So that's the main difference between both models. Grok 4 is a single agent, while Grok 4 Heavy is multi-agent. And now let's talk about the pricing. Grok 3, the predecessor of this model, will always be free. Okay, so basically you have access to it, a little bit limited, but still enough to just use it in a daily basis. And then we have two main memberships that can be monthly or yearly, as you can observe here. So basically the $30 per month gives you unlimited access to Grok 4, basically. And then we have a $300 subscription that is like the Super Grok Heavy that gives you unlimited access of Grok 4, of course, and then gives you access to Grok 4 Heavy. The main difference between them, of course, is the usage of Grok 4 Heavy. We will see later that Grok 4 Heavy actually has like a better performance than Grok 4, but still Grok 4 has a really, really good performance. And on the other side, what we will see is that it will have early access to the new features that are that the model gets over time. And then we can access this model using another way, and it is the API. It is a more technical way to access the model. So basically what we will see here is that we have different APIs that we can use to access these models. And the most important thing for me is that Grok 4 and Grok 3 have exactly the same price, which is quite impressive. They maintain the price is quite low. You can see Grok 3 here. It has like $3 per million tokens, while Grok 4 has like $3 per million tokens as well. The main differences between them is that the context of Grok 4 is way bigger, as we said before, but there's a limitation of 60 requests per minute, while in Grok 3 you have a 600. So actually this is quite a big limitation when you want to scale whatever you're using for the large language model. You want to scale the application, but still for testing and for developing, it is quite nice to have like this quite low price. And this is the two main ways you can access Grok, either using the interface by paying this membership, or using the API. And as you've seen, the prices in this case are quite similar for both Grok 3 and Grok 4. Now let's focus a little bit on the new features that this model presents. So for me, one of the most important ones is the context window. As I have already said before, it doubles the size of Grok 3, and now it presents a context window of 256,000 tokens. To make it clear, basically this means that we can just send longer prompts for every interaction we have with the model, and this means that we can just contextualize better and give more information to the task we expect it to perform for us. Another good improvement is the reasoning, and especially the academic reasoning. We will see later in the benchmarks, but basically the scores are quite amazing, especially when compared to the predecessor, and they outperform all the top competitors of Grok 4. Another important feature that during the live stream they gave a lot of importance, it was that it has been natively trained to use tools. So it means that it doesn't rely on the built-in knowledge, but it knows how to reach out, how to retrieve data, and how to apply it. And this is a big upgrade when compared to the predecessor. Another feature is the agentic design. This means that basically Grok 4 can act more like a thinking system, right? Either if we use the normal version, the Grok 4 or the Grok 4 Heavy, but basically we have agents that can just work behind the scenes and perform whatever task we ask. And finally, there's another feature, but it's only for the mobile phone apps, and it is basically the voice mode. It presents a new voice called If. It is British sounding, and basically it improves way better and it sounds more natural. But as I said before, this is not something that can be accessed using the computer. And finally, I would like to mention a limitation, and basically it is the image generation. We will actually work on it in a couple minutes and we will see. But basically the image generation is not the best, so I think it's one of the most important limitations of the model. But still, they have said that in the coming weeks, they want to work on this and upgrade the image generation of Grok 4. Alright, so now let's start playing a little bit with the model and see how it behaves. And I've prepared different tasks in order to just check it a little bit. So the first one is just, I want to check the knowledge that the model has and the fact-checking ability. The first thing we need to do is like make sure we're using Grok 4, okay? By default, it's always going to be Grok 3. So my first prompt is going to be, what was the outcome of the 2024 US presidential election, including the winner, key vote margins in swing states, and any major post-election events up to July 2025? Cross-check against reliable sources to avoid outdated or inaccurate information. All right, so the first thing I'm going to see is it's going to start thinking, and it's going to start showing me the whole process of the thinking. And now this is going to take a little bit of a time. But we will see that we can actually check that, for instance, it was checking Wikipedia, now it's checking CNN, Fox News. So we can see that the model actually just goes to the web and searches for aligned information to what I've asked. And it actually works and starts getting information from different sources, right? So this is something that I asked it to do, and that I wanted to cross-check against reliable sources. This new feature that it shows me the whole process of thinking, it's really helpful to see if the model is actually doing what I ask it to do or not. All right, so now it says that the thought was for 24 seconds and now it's generating a proper output. It's working this time. And we can see that it's kind of an elaborated response. It actually went to the swing states that I asked and added the information. We can check that this information is correct. So basically it performed quite well the task that I first asked it to do. We can see that it's just finished. So it takes quite a long time to think. It was around 80 seconds, 84. And still the answer is quite fast once it has had all the thinking process. Now let's just go for the second task. In this case, I want to check the mathematical reasoning, and I'm going to start with a prompt that GPT-4 at some point didn't perform properly, and it is: if x and y are the tens digits and the unit digit respectively of the product of these two numbers, what is the value of x plus y? Can you explain the easiest solution without calculating the whole number? So let's see basically how it proceeds and how does like the whole reasoning, and see if the mathematical procedure of Grok 4. It was quite fast, to be very honest. It only took 8 seconds for it to respond, and the answer is correct because it is 12. So actually it was really, really fast. I'm quite surprised about it. And the whole process is quite neat, right? So a second thing I want to try, I have another prompt here, is another mathematical problem to see if this time it takes longer or it just goes super fast as well. In this case, it is use all digits from 0 to 9 exactly once to make three numbers x, y, z such that x plus y equals z. And now we will see it is analyzing the problem. It is doing like the whole reasoning. We can see it keeps showing us like the thinking it does. Now it is executing some code. All right, like it gave us one possible solution, and it is correct. It took a little bit of time, 125 seconds, but still the final output is good. Now let's go for the third task. In this case, what I want to see is first the integration of Grok with X. In the end, they are both part of the same company. And on the other side, to see how it can use its tools to effectively get or fetch the data that we're asking for. So in this case, the prompt I'm going to use is tell me about DataCamp's latest post on the X social network, and then find the latest blog on their website, summarize information contained, and provide the link to the post. So let's see first how long does it take to do all of this, and then if it does it correctly, I'm going to check the latest X post of DataCamp and see what it does. Here we can see that it's guessing DataCamp's X handle is likely DataCamp. In this case, it's correct, but we will see how it goes and how long it takes to perform the whole thing. Now it's going to DataCamp's blog, and it's checking different sources to see. It's browsing actually the DataCamp's blog to see the latest. We can see that the latest DataCamp's post article is about Grok 4 actually. And now it is browsing it. That's good. Okay, it says DataCamp's most recent post on the X social network dated July 10 promotes a free webinar aimed to individuals deciding between careers as a data scientist or analytics engineer. Okay, so let's just check it. And we can see that it is correct trying to choose between being a data scientist or analytics engineer at this free webinar. Okay, so that's perfectly correct. It says that the latest blog on DataCamp's website is titled Grok 4 Test Features, Benchmark Access and More, published on July 10, which is actually correct as well. And we can see here that it performs correctly the task, and then it summarizes and has like the key features of this DataCamp blog. So this is perfect. It's done it perfectly fine. All right, now let's go for the fourth task. In this case, what I want to do is first check the extended Windows context of Grok and test another use case that many people use, and basically is to use this kind of chatbots to summarize and analyze reports. So in this case, what I'm going to use is the Future of Jobs report for the World Economic Forum of 2025. So the prompt is going to be the following one. And now I'm gonna upload the document itself that I have it here. So basically what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna attach the PDF, the document, and I want it to analyze the entire report and identify the 3 most informative graphs, summarize each one, and let me know which page of PDF they appear on. All right, it's already finished. It took 21 seconds, and then it says that the figure 2.5 job growth on decline on page 24. So I'm gonna check it right now. So this is correct. In the page 24, there's like this figure, and actually it's one of the most important on the report. And basically it says which jobs are gonna grow and which ones are gonna decrease, basically, and have less job openings in the future. And then it says 2 other figures that we can check. But as we can see, the task was performed correctly, and it just analyzed in a really, really short amount of time, just 21 seconds, a report that is over 200 pages, and it answered correctly the task. So that's perfectly fine. And actually you can use this on your own just to chat with any PDF document, or just upload it and let Grok 4 analyze it for you and get like the most important insights. All right, so now let's go for the next task. Basically, in this case, what I want to check is the advanced reasoning of Super Grok, and especially to see how it behaves when I ask quite an advanced question. In this case, it's going to be like a physics question. The first thing I'm going to do is just put here the prompt. I want to evaluate your ability to solve PhD level physics problems involving electromagnetism. Attached is a multi-part questioning titled Problem 2, Electromagnetism 2. And then I describe the whole thing here. And just in case, I'd emphasize again that I attach the problem as a PNG image. So now what I'm going to do is just attach the problem here. This is a problem of Yale for physics student, basically. So what I want to see with this is first how the model processes the whole thing. And then, as we'll see later in the benchmarkings, Grok is supposed to be quite good at PhD level of questions in almost all fields. So now we will see how it starts just checking, analyzing the problem, and getting aligned knowledge and content to solve it. A thing that I really like about the interface of Grok is basically that I can still keep seeing my prompt, but the thinking process just keeps scrolling down. So basically what I can see here is that I can just keep seeing all steps of the processing of the model, but still I can see the prompt. So I think this is a really, really good upgrade, and UX-wise is really nice just to be able to just keep reading and following the whole process, but still have the prompt on screen as well, just to check that everything is on track. Now we see it's like just revisiting calculations and making sure like all the process it has done is properly done, actually. So it is quite nice to just keep following the whole process and the whole chain of thoughts that the model is having. All right, so it seems we finally have an answer. It took quite a long time, over 350 seconds, basically, but we see it got like a final answer for all the problem. One thing that I actually don't like is that the mathematical formulation is not properly done. Like you see here, you can find like the LaTeX way of writing, but it's not shaped like a proper mathematical formulation. So that's something I don't actually like. But like the whole response is quite well argumented. Like we could see all the process, so it was actually quite well done. And as we will see later, the benchmarking for this kind of problems, the model Grok 4 is quite good. But again, one of the things I don't like is the way it writes this mathematical formulation is not it's not nice and it's not friendly for the user just to use it. Now let's go for the next task. I think it's the 6th task now, and the main idea is to check the ability to code and to understand code of Grok. You know, one of the most important use cases of this kind of large language models is to help us while coding, help us understand the code we have, and help us understand if there's some errors or correct the code or generate new code. Basically, what I'm gonna share with Grok now is the following prompt, and it is: can you review the following Python function and tell me if it's correctly implementing the Fibonacci sequence? If it's incorrect, please explain what's wrong and provide the corrected version of the function. And here goes a function. So let's see. Basically, the function is wrong implemented because the order that is iterating is on reverse. So let's see if the model can understand. Now we see it's basically reviewing. We see that now it understood what's wrong, but this order is incorrect for dependencies. Let's see if it keeps going well. So we saw that it just took 26 seconds. It was super, super fast. And basically it says the provided function does not correctly implement the standard Fibonacci sequence. So basically it assessed correctly that the function is wrong, and now it is solving it. What's wrong? Incorrect recurrence relation, wrong loop direction, resulting behavior, corrected version. So now it corrected and it gave me the correct version. So of course this is quite a simple task about coding, but in the end we saw that it was quite fast. It assessed correctly what I was expecting, and it gave me a correct version of this Fibonacci function. In this task, it performed super, super well. All right, now let's go for the last task. I want to check the image generation abilities of Grok 4, basically, because I know it's one of its biggest limitations. So I want to see if it's performing super bad, or it's just average, or it's even a little bit good, but not as good as the competitors. We all know that ChatGPT latest update was amazing, and the images that it generates are really, really good. So I just want to see the difference between both models. And what I'm going to do is just use the prompt of convert the following image into Studio Ghibli style, and I'm going to share one of my images with the model. I have it here. Okay, I'm going to put it. And let's see how it goes. One of the things that impressed me the most about Grok 4 is the speed that it generates images. If you have tried other language models on image generations, they usually take quite a long time. So in this first case, we see 2 versions of the original image. In this case, for instance, it changed the color of the pants of my pants, but still, they're quite all good. I'm gonna add the ChatGPT output for this same prompt and image, so you can compare. But actually, the Studio Ghibli one is not bad at all. But now let's check again, but in this case for Pixar and not for Studio Ghibli. So in this case, I'm gonna add again my image here, and we will see how the model implements it. All right, so in this case, we can see that it's not as good. Like this one, actually, it seems like the same image, but just with some kind of filter that makes it a little bit realistic, but it's like bad performed, and it's not Pixar style at all. And then this one here, it's not Pixar neither, because in the end it's like not 3D, it's like just 2D, even though like the style resembles a bit, but it's like more similar to the previous one, but with more Americanized way, I think. Basically, now you will see the comparison of like the output of ChatGPT for the same prompt and the same image. You will see the difference is so big. So basically, we can confirm that the image generation of Grok 4 is not the best, but still the speed is quite fast. And if you find like some specific and good use case for it, I think the speed is really, really an advantage of of this model, but still the results are not the best. Now, let's try to place a little bit the Grok family within the large language model space. So the main idea is that the Grok family was debuted in 2023 with the first version, and it went directly viral because it had a really strong personality, and especially it was designed to be more humorous and rebellious than the typical chatbots at the moment. Remember that most chatbots have a lot of restrictions. After that, we had an intermediate version, Grok 1.5, that just improved a little bit the reasoning, but only 5 months later, we had Grok 2 that introduced for the first time basic coding and multimodal capabilities to the family. 3 months ago, we had Grok 3. Grok 3 basically raised the bar in knowledge and started to approach GPT-4 levels. So basically, it was the best model of the family until now that we have Grok 4. Grok 4 pushes the limits not only because it has 100 more times training data than Grok 2 and presents 10 times more reinforcement learning than any other model of the family, but because it introduces a agentic architecture, either with a single agent or multiple agents, and it is natively trained to work with tools, which actually gives it a better performance and it makes it respond better to any task we give it. Alright, so now let's try to see how Grok 4 compares to its main competitors and just check the scores it obtained in the benchmarking. Let's get started with humanity's last exam. In this case, it is a benchmark made up of 2,500 hand-curated PhD level questions spanning from math, physics, chemistry to linguistics or engineering. In this case, we have two versions. There's this version that we cannot use tools, so basically the models don't have any access to tools to solve the questions. And then there's the other type that it is basically that these models have access to these tools, so they can use tools while answering the questions. We see that in both modalities, the Grok's models, Grok 4 and Grok 4 Heavy, just outperform all the competitors. But specifically, when using tools, we see that Grok Heavy almost gets a 45% of a score. So basically, is about to double the result of the Gemini's tool-assisted score. This means that Grok 4 not only outperforms other leading models, but the multi-agent Grok 4 Heavy nearly doubles the competition, showcasing an ability to reason across disciplines at the research level depth. If we now check other benchmarkings, Grok 4 is showcasing some pretty amazing results in academic style tests. So now you can see the following chart that has like different scientific style benchmarkings, and you can see that both Grok 4 and Grok 4 Heavy are outperforming all the competitors in every single task. So, for instance, if we focus on the GPQA benchmark, that in this case it's physics questions at grad school, we see that both Groks get around 89% of a score, which is really, really high. Alright, so now let's go for another interesting benchmarking. In this case, we're going to talk about the ARC-AGI, which basically means Abstract Reasoning Corpus Artificial General Intelligence. And as the title already mentions, this benchmark basically evaluates abstract and visual reasoning, and it is designed to measure how close a large language model is to artificial general intelligence. You can see now the chart on screen, and here you can see that Grok 4 gets a 16%, a little bit more. So it almost doubles its closest competitor, that is Claude Opus. And the most important insight of this chart basically is that Grok 4 is the first commercial large language model to break the 10% barrier. So this means that this model is the closest to AGI level that has been developed so far. Another interesting benchmark is the bending bench. Now you can see the chart on screen again, and basically this test evaluates how well a model can operate a real vending machine, performing actions like purchasing inventory, adjusting pricing, or maximizing profit. So basically, it evaluates the autonomy of these models, and again, Grok 4 has obtained the best performance so far with around $4,500, and it more than doubles its closest competitor, Claude Opus, that just made around $2,000. Alright, as we've just seen together, we've unpacked what Grok 4 is, explored its main features and advantages, and walked through how to actually use it. The main takeaway of today is that Grok 4 represents a big leap forward for XAI and the Grok family of models, and especially when compared to the previous version, Grok 3, which performance is way worse. It's definitely not perfect, but it's seriously impressive. And as we just saw in the benchmarks, Grok 4 is now positioning itself as a serious player in the artificial intelligence field, matching or even outperforming some of the top models out there. We've seen that it really stands out when it comes to reasoning and tools use, tackling even complex problems and planning tasks. even handling PhD levels questions with ease, even though it takes quite a long time to do so. That said, it still struggles quite a bit with image generation, and the way it handles mathematical notation leaves a lot to be desired, but this is something more about UX and not specifically the model itself. One thing I want to highlight is that all of this performance comes even without using the heavy version of Grok 4, so basically we're just using the normal model. Okay, just to clarify, Grok 4 is available in two different versions. Remember, there's like a cheaper and a more expensive one. Grok 4, that is the normal model that only have one agent, is single agent, and Grok 4 Heavy, that is multiple agent. What's most exciting about this new launch of Grok 4 is not the launch itself, but what's coming next, because actually xAI has laid out an ambitious roadmap for the next few months. So basically, in August, this means next month, they're launching a new model specifically designed for coding. Faster and more accurate for developers, basically. In September, we'll see the release of a true multimodal agent that can understand not just text, but also images, audio, and video much more effectively than the current model we have right now. And finally, in October, they're planning to release a brand new video generation model that's been trained from scratch. So let's see in this case how the generation of images and videos is performed and if it is improved. If we zoom out and think about the bigger picture, the future of artificial intelligence and large language models, we need to keep in mind that many of today's top tech leaders are aiming for AGI, or what's the same, artificial general intelligence. Elon Musk actually mentioned this during the live stream, saying that to truly reach this AGI, these large language models will eventually need a body, a way to sense and interact with the real world. According to this mental roadmap, Grok will eventually be equipped with that kind of embodiment to enhance its capabilities. So we will assume that at some point it will have kind of like a robot or more sensors to interact with our real world. So what does this mean for us? It likely means that in the years ahead, we'll start seeing these kind of models embedded in our devices, as now we see in our phones, and maybe even into robots, we will see. What's clear is that the artificial intelligence field is still in its early days, and it's going to transform our lives. That's why, if you're curious about it, I really encourage you to just go and check Grok 4 for yourself and try to integrate it in your daily work, because actually these kind of tools can really leverage your time and can really leverage your effort. And if you're interested in going deeper into the world of artificial intelligence, I really encourage you as well to check out DataCamp's courses and tutorials, because they're a great way to get started and they offer some fantastic content, basically. They have a course specifically designed on developing large language models, or they have a new course focused on AI agents that we've seen that they're really important. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope it was interesting, and let's see where this fast-moving race toward a smarter artificial intelligence takes us next time. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.